So let me dig in. So our BPA stands for Branch Profitability Academy, and our system includes 3 steps. When I was doing, remember, up until a year and a half ago, I was doing private consulting for companies. They'd hire me. I'd go into their organizations. I'd do a branch examination. I would coach their branches on how to become profitable. And I just decided that, well, first of all, there was so much pain in the marketplace. You know, I was encouraged by many folks to be able to say, Tom, bring this to market, because there's a tremendous need for my branch managers to really be able to understand the P&L. I listened and brought it all together with a variety of ways, which I'll show you here in a minute. We're going to convert the P&L to 8 KPIs. So when I was troubleshooting a branch, somebody would say to me, I would be at an event, and they'd say, hey, Tom, can you take a look at my P&L? Tell me what you think. I'd look like a deer in headlights. I couldn't do it. I have to convert your P&L into my 8 key performance indicators, because it'll tell every story that needs to be told. We're going to take that in that format, and then we're going to analyze the data. So I'm going to see where the strengths are and the weaknesses are. And then when we troubleshoot it, we refer back to the P&L. Hey, can you look into detail and find out how many processors do you have? How much are you paying them? We need that P&L to be able to do that. The key to this whole thing is immediate recognition. Nothing's more important in today's market. This thing's changing monthly. So get the data, get it in, and then let's troubleshoot it and see if we have to make in-flight corrections this month, not 3 months from now, because the horse has already left the barn 3 months from now if we try to attack it that way. So here's the keys to our profitability system. We include the production numbers. Now, in today's day and age, 2023, there's a lot of data that's out there that a lot of companies to their branches have already combined the production report with the P&L. Some still don't, but I'm just telling you that we need to see the production report. In the olden days, the production report was separate from the P&L. So we include the production numbers and we include the P&L data, and that's all converted all to basis points. Just realize this: BP stands for blood pressure. It also stands for basis points. I can't get into detail. In the course itself, we talk about how I determined, blood pressure and what the parallel to it was in the mortgage industry. And that's a story for another day. So let me go through this. I'm going to walk you right across the top to what our 8 key performance indicators are. And then I'm going to actually fill in a particular branch. I'm going to compare 2 $4 million branches, so you can kind of see the comparison as we start to look at that. So let me just give you a definition as brief as I can make it. We go into this in detail in module 1, which will talk specifically about how you get there. So top BBP, again, BBP stands for business blood pressure. It equals the total revenue in basis points. So we take the total number that you had in revenue and we divide it by the volume. Okay, let me show you how that works. All of the revenue divided by the volume. So in this example, total revenue is $106,000. Volume closed is 4,027,299. We just take the 106,320, divide it by the 4.027299. That equals 0.02639. Rounded, it comes out to 2.63%. Next thing is it's 263 basis points. So this is the language that we talk in basis points. Some people get all confused. Don't get freaked out over the basis points. I don't know what it means. I don't know what happens. Where's the decimal point go? Do I put a percentage sign or not? This is the simplicity that mortgage, even banking, has done over the years. You hear it talked about all the time on Wall Street. So the next category is bottom business blood pressure. Okay, how bottom business blood pressure is calculated. And let me back up here just for a minute. Bottom business blood pressure is all of the expenses that your organization is paying for, except for LO Comp. And you'll show you here, LO Comp is moved off here to the right. I make some accounting people crazy because LO Comp is really supposed to be a cost of goods sold. I show it afterwards, and that was a long and thought out process because I wanted to make a level playing field for the data that we accumulate. I wanted to make it a level process so that somebody who's doing $2 million as a mortgage broker can compare the same size, the same format to a branch that's doing $26 million in closings in a month. So that format, whether you're XYZ mega branch or you're, little bitty Tom Ward as a broker, bottom line is the format is always going to be the same. What I found was the brokers sometimes don't pay themselves until the end. So ultimately, I had to push it off here because otherwise that number would be distorted. It would show zero with a big profit. And I can usually tell a broker by looking at the numbers. So let me go through the bottom business blood pressure. The bottom business blood pressure, again, this is a reminder. This is really important, folks. I say this over and over and over again, because this is where the rubber meets the road. It's the total expenses for the month, not including LO compensation. Total expenses, not including LO comp. So if you have a P&L right now that your total expenses include LO comp in it, you got to extract that out because we're going to put that into a different column. And I'll show you why here when we go through the examples. Critical. LO compensation, the commissions must be separated from your total expenses. The number we're looking for is total expenses, not including LO comp. I said it 3 times. You know how important it is. Folks, this is the Achilles heel right now to most companies losing money, is that bottom business blood pressure number. It's the killer. It's no different than I don't know what the 2 numbers are called in blood pressure, but there's a top and a bottom. The bottom's the one you got to worry about most because that's the one that's going to create a whole chaos in your whole organization. General number, this is what a P&L would look like. You take all the total, general overhead, 158. You would take that 158 and you would divide it by the 5.9 million. This comes out to 268 basis points. So what that means, when that bottom business blood pressure number goes in, what that means is that this is what it costs you to get a loan out the back door. The LO comp is what it costs you to get a loan in the front door. This is Tom Wardisms. And some of you have been on here for a while. You say, oh, now we're starting to remember it. And you start to realize, these Tom Wardisms, right? That goes through that. So ultimately we look at that and we say, okay, tell me what it costs. I still remember being at a Lenders One event. I was speaking at a Lenders One event. There had to be 100 companies there. And I just went around the room and I just said, I would just ask the question, hey, do you know what it costs you to get a loan out the back door? And they give me some, Stratmore survey, and they talking money, or they talking this, or I've got 4 employees, 4 non-producing employees go into this. You don't need all, trust, this is Tom Ward. You don't need all that. You need one number. Tell me what it costs you to get a loan out the back door. I had a vision at one point in time in a meeting like that. On their name tag, they would put 263 over 100. And you could walk around the room and look at somebody saying, how do you keep your expenses at 100 basis points? And it would just be an awesome, awesome experience as you start to realize that. So always remember this would drive me crazy. The smaller number always goes into the bigger number to come out with a percentage. If you took the bigger number and divided by the smaller number, it's going to completely screw up everything. And trust me, I've done it 1,000 times. CPI, this is what I created. This is Tom Ward's number. CPI stands for critical profit indicator. It's simple, folks. It's top minus bottom equals CPI. A minus B equals C. Can't get it any simpler than that. This is a critical number as you start to look forward. I'm going to tell you what the bogey point is. I saw 90 in all the reviews, and I've got over 1,400 in a database. 92% of the time when that number is 130 or above, the branch makes money. I'll show you that in a slide here as we move forward. LO comp and basis points. Again, we're converting LO comp. Not the struggle that I had was revenue comes in basis points because you set up a rate sheet. LO comp, the agreement goes out in basis points. The struggle is bottom comes in expenses. Expenses come in cash. So I had 2 choices. Convert everything to cash, which is what I used to do back in the one transaction thinking days, or convert everything to basis points. Well, it was only converting one number. So I just said, I'm going to convert the cash expenses into basis points so I can oversimplify that. So again, LO comp paid out in basis points. LO comp and percentage. Folks, this is old school. I know I've got some real veterans on today's webinar. Ultimately, old school. This is a trigger for me. This was this 8th category that I added. There used to only be 7. I added 8 about 2 months in, and I wanted to put this in here because this was, especially as LOs started to discount off the rate sheet, that's my indicator to be able to determine that. And you'll see that in a couple of the examples. When the LO comp laws changed years ago, what used to happen would be you would set your rate sheet and you'd say, oh, listen, I want 300 basis points. Mr. or Mrs. Loan Officer, I'm going to pay you 50%. I pay you 50% of 300. It's 150. Game over. Rules changed back when LO comp rules changed. So this doesn't apply anymore. Usually it doesn't show up on anybody's production reports or their P&L. And ultimately, it's a great indicator for me to see a loan officer that's discounting. So it's just LO comp in basis points divided by the top business blood pressure number. You don't even need to look at the P&L. I've already got that data in this subset of 8. The next one is basis points in profit. Again, simple math. Profit is in basis points, the top business blood pressure minus the bottom business blood pressure minus LO comp in basis points equals, that's what equals basis points in profit. It's a pretty simple process. And again, some of you who've never seen me before said, wow, he's making this really simple, or you might still be confused. Trust me, you'll get this when I start going through numbers. And if you don't, reach out to us. We'll walk you through it. Volume, self-explanatory. It's for that month. Profit in dollars. This is simply, folks, sometimes you look at profit in dollars at the end of your P&L and you say, oh, there's my profit in dollars. I want to be able to look at this. I can determine profit in dollars based upon how much profit I had in basis points multiplied by the volume will equal profit in dollars. Again, it's a simple format as we start to realize that.